Welcome back to the live morning show, and as you know, a couple of times each month we have Kathy Akers from Fathom Realty on for the real estate segment. Kathy, we were talking, and a lot of times I'm in here, and I think this is the first. Maybe you alluded to, you thought I might have done it one time before, but I've done so many interviews I can't remember. But I thought this was the first time I had ever teamed up with you. But we're glad to have you, and looking forward to what you're going to talk to us about. We'll get to that in just a second. But I want to ask you the question that's been going around with all the co-hosts here for the last week or so. As you prepare for Thanksgiving, what time does your family sit down for Thanksgiving meal?
Well, normally we've always been a dinner type of family,
okay.
But due to work schedules of my children, we're actually going to have a lunch this year.
Okay. So normally you do it later in the evening, like 5 or 6?
Yeah, normally we've done that, and we've kind of had, you know, the traditional little cheese platters and things like that for snacking on during the day, or we'll have a late brunch kind of thing.
Right, so. And then the big. So you're actually doing it for lunch this time.
That's
okay.
right. That's right. So we can accommodate work schedules.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what you have to do. And then a lot of families have different members of the family that have to go to other families. So I mean, it can be an interesting thing to have to balance for sure. So everybody does what they've got to do.
It can be.
All
yes.
Right. So we want to talk about real estate today, and you always have very interesting things that you bring in, and things that, you know, as I've watched some of the segments, things that I don't think about normally. So you're going to introduce to us today maybe some of the mistakes. There's some of the things we don't do around the house that maybe we should pay attention. So introduce what you want to talk about.
We're going to talk about some of the most expensive mistakes you can make with your home. We've talked about this topic before, but it's always timely, especially at this time of the year. You know, we had a 20-degree temperature difference this morning when we got up.
Absolutely.
And you know that can affect a lot of things.
It absolutely can.
But we want to give you some ideas to help save money and cost on maintaining your home.
Okay.
Besides purchasing your home, that's your largest expense you usually have, but that annual maintenance is another big expense.
Sure.
And these are some things that you can do to reduce the cost.
Okay.
Let's talk about, are you still using traditional light bulbs? I bet you're not.
It was funny because I am so, I'm one of those where Rachel gets very, very frustrated with me. Like a light bulb could go out and I'll just let it go for like a week. Sometimes I forget, sometimes it's laziness, but half the time I don't know what light bulb's in my house.
Well, a regular incandescent bulb can cost you about $180 worth of electricity in its lifespan. Okay? A CFL or a incandescent one is about $40 in the life of its time period, and then an LED is only about $30 a bulb.
Really? So
as you're replacing those bulbs, think about that. And you know, I know people have that, you know, some are too soft, some are too this. But really, there's a lot of variety. If you haven't been out to buy a light bulb recently, you have a lot to choose from. So think about your use. Is it something that you need a higher light, like we have here in the studio? Or is it something you can get away with a soft light, that kind of thing? But, you know, choose, and, you know, that's something simple.
Now, and all that information would come on the box of the bulb. You just have to do a little research and just kind of look and see what suits you, but there are definitely ways to save energy with certain bulbs.
And a lot of times they'll have the lights displayed in a box already turned on, you know, if you've gone to Lowe's or that kind of thing. They'll have, you know, several lights so you can see, you know, is it bluer, is it clear, that kind of thing. Okay. The next one is a leaky faucet or toilet. And, you know, that can just, a leaky, especially a faucet that drips 1 drop per second, can waste more than 3,000 gallons per year.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And just gone through this with my son at his place. He had a toilet that just, you know, wouldn't shut off, you know, fill up and run, fill up and run. He had a $400 in 1 month a $400 water bill.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just him, you know, that of course, you know.
Was it because he had ignored the toilet?
Yes, because he had ignored the toilet. So, you know, that, you know, you can go through a lot of water and you don't realize
You
until
have no idea, yeah.
no idea. So think about that. You know, is it, you know, water is always one of those supplies that in summers we have droughts, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
But, you know, look at your expense side. You know, it can happen.
Yeah, well, so if you hear that noise in that toilet, make sure you get somebody to fix that,
right.
because it will show up on that next water bill
That's
for sure.
right.
So.
That's right. Using the wrong size air filters, and we talk about this a lot. But it's not, you know, it's not just the wrong size, but it's also the wrong type. So look at what your manufacturer says for your system, and make sure that you're using the exact size, because if it doesn't fit in there right, it's not going to do the job it's designed to do. We've talked a lot about using different types of air filters, and I know that, you know, for people that have allergies, you know, they really play up those really HEPA filters, those kinds of things, those really heavy-duty filters that get all the allergens out of the air. You know, those can really slow the airflow through your system.
Totally. And how often are those supposed to be changed as well, Carrie? Isn't it every 3 months?
Yeah,
or
it
6,
depends. You know, so a lot of times we talk about every 3 months.
Yeah.
With those little thin single filters that we talk about, those are so simple to change them once a month. You know, and look at it. If it doesn't look as dirty as you think it would be, go ahead and leave it and change it the next month.
Right.
But, you know, those you can, with the cost of $1 a piece, those you can change more often.
Right.
So making sure you've got the right size and making sure you've got the right kind for your system.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now remember, there are other filters within your system, and you know, sometimes those have to be changed by the HVAC person.
Right.
But you know, you also want to make sure you get those systems checked at least twice a year.
Okay.
Not customizing your temperature. We've had discussions on before about the customizable HVAC system thermostats. You know, if your family is gone during the day, adjusting the thermostat so that it's not running to keep the house at the temperature you want it set for. So like in the winter, having it back it down a little bit, in the summer kick it back up some, you know, that kind of thing, you know. And you can always programming it so that if you're coming in at 5 o'clock, about 4:30, between 4 and 4:30, you can have it to start kick on to come up to the temperature that you would like it to be when you get home at 5.
So Kathy, is it a bad idea? This is something that I hear a lot of talk about. So if I know that our family or anybody's family, let's say everybody's out of the house at 8 o'clock and you know nobody's going to be back in that house till 5, is it bad on the system to just basically turn it down so that it doesn't run at all, and then when you come back, will that mess the system up, to make a drastic change like that?
It also makes your system overwork, and talking with a HVAC contractor can talk to you, but think about the work that it's going to have to do
to
if
get it
you
back
up to the temperature you want. And if you've changed it drastically, it's going to take a lot longer for it to get up to where you want it. So
you think you're saving money, but then at the same time you could also be putting unnecessary wear and tear on the unit.
Right.
Yeah.
So adjusting the temperature slightly, there's some of those new programmable thermostats out there. One that comes to mind is Nest. It learns your routines and it remembers them. Or, some of them, sync with your smart device, Alexa and Siri and that kind of thing. So you could always, hey, turn the thermostat up to such and such, that kind of thing as you're getting ready to come in.
Okay.
So, look at all your options and think about, and I know nowadays every time they change out you change a unit in your house, they are putting in a programmable thermostat. So, that's something to think about if you're looking at that.
Cool.
That going along with that is adjusting your air vents in your home. Do we have some that are behind furniture, that kind of thing, or get them so that they adjust so that the air it's flowing throughout the house. Have you ever gone into a house that one room's colder than another?
Absolutely.
And that could simply be the adjustment of those air vents. Is there something blocking them? I have those little plastic guide things that just have little magnets on them and hit right on my air vents, and it directs the air instead of up along the wall. It directs it out into the room, and that helps a lot because you don't think that little bit can adjust the way adjust your temperature in a room. But those are some things to think about that, and that piggybacks on your system. But the other thing, making sure they're not closed, especially in the winter.
You never know, kids running around playing with it and closing it up, and you're like, man, it's cold in here.
Well, I just had this morning as I was getting ready to leave, my daughter's cat actually pulled one of our vents out of the floor. So
it happens.
It happens.
So
so look at your vents and check those. How about I know. Right now, we're not in the time to water our lawns. Hopefully, everybody has shut down their system and drained their lines and all of that. Doesn't have to mow the
grass anymore.
You don't. That's right. You mow the leaves to mulch the leaves, but a sprinkler system that's not functioning correctly is just wasting money. A lot of times we have them set early in the morning, which is great because that's the optimal time to have them to water, so that it gives them the grass a nice soak, and then it still has plenty of time for it to dry off and not cause damage to your lawn. But is there a sprinkler head that's broke, that's not shooting right, or is just shooting straight up in the air? Is it watering the neighbor's fence? Or have you ever driven by and the sprinkler hit your car?
Oh yeah.
Drive through a couple of times, you got your car washed.
That's right, absolutely.
But run them one time during the day when you're there, so you can see where your sprinklers are direction. Are they actually hitting where they're supposed to? Your water heater. We all like that hot shower right now in the winter. So having your thermostat too high can actually, be one of those things. It can, constantly be running, especially if you have electric one. A gas one kind of, keeps things heated well. But think about that. You don't want to do undue stress on your water heater. So look at where you have your temperature set. In the winter, yes, you're going to want it a little warmer. We all like getting out of bed and getting in that warm shower.
That's right.
But during the summer, you might be, you can take it back a little bit. You don't have to have as hot a shower during the summer unless that's what you prefer.
That's right.
But looking at your manufacturer on your water heater has an optimal temperature. So looking to see if that's where you're set, and that can help save you some money. A tankless water heater is always an option, but for those of us that don't have them, just checking that thermostat to make sure you're where you need to be.
Right.
One of my big things that we talk about is leaky windows and doors.
Oh yeah.
And especially this time of the year, that if you've ever been near a leak, you feel that cold air coming through. So, now's the time to check those, adding caulking or weather stripping, anything like that will help. I know the city also has a program that they can come in and check for those things for you. So, you know, if it's something you don't think you can do on your own, you know, schedule a time for one of their maintenance crew to come in and help you with that.
Absolutely. Be surprised at what they find, probably.
That's right. You really will. The other thing let's talk about is, to me, this one's not so much a mistake, but paying a handyman. Okay. Is it something you can do, or, you know, take and watch a video and learn how to do it?
Right.
If you're not mechanically inclined, pay that handyman. You know, there are some out there. I've done quite a few things myself that, you know, are simple to do, and not having to pay somebody to come in and do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, is one of those things.
And there's some people that take pride in, like my dad has become quite prideful as far as he's gotten on YouTube and feels like he can fix anything now, you know.
That's right.
But I understand what you're saying. Sometimes we got to say, okay, that's a little bit above my pay grade.
That's right. That's right.
Let's make sure we get it done right. So.
That's right. And then the last one we're going to talk about is ignoring your curling shingles. You know, that roof is the thing that, you know, the top of your house, if it's not working right, nothing else is going to work right. So don't ignore those shingles. Go ahead and get your roof either replaced or repaired, and help keeping that, especially now you want to have a solid barrier around you in your home.
Absolutely.
And, you know, those are all the things that we can, you know, try not to, you know, make mistakes on.
Well, I appreciate you bringing those to our attention, because as you were going through that list, I started thinking about things around my own house. I probably neglect that, or I'll just do a little bit better. So I think this is great information. Kathy, you always do a great job of bringing us the information and things that we need to think about, you know, with our home. As you can see, KathyAkersHomes.com is the website if you want to find out. But how do people contact you for any questions that they may have?
You can contact me directly, and that's 252-266-4038.
All right. Kathy with Fathom Realty, Kathy Akers, Fathom Realty, been my guest. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
To you and your family, and appreciate you being with us. And when we return, Fred will give us the update on the weather, and we'll get back into our headlines. You're watching the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Stay with us.